Welcome back to the OpenUK Mini-Moo lessons. This is lesson 8 and it's called Recording Glove. As always, you can start and stop this video at each step if you need more time to keep up with the lesson. Lemur saw the training glove project that you built last week and absolutely loved it. But she wants to be an expert coder and build something that she can improvise with without having to flash new code onto it all the time. She's done some programming before and she suggests that using something called an array would be a good way to do this. Can you make a glove that records gestures and then plays them back as a tune? Lemur has heard how good your coding is getting now and wants to set you a challenge to make her a recording glove. Can you help her to solve this problem? In today's lesson, you will build a program for Lemur's glove called the Recording Glove. By doing this, you will learn about event handlers, variables, including Boolean variables, if statements, count-controlled loops, functions, passing a parameter to a function, using an array to store and retrieve a collection of values. You will also learn how a license allows you to create new things from open source software. You will need your assembled Mini-Moo glove, the MakeCode web coding editor, and a small piece of music to practice. Well, as this is lesson 8, and you're all expert microbit coders now, this is going to be quite a big program. It will build on most of the things you have learned in previous lessons, and will also introduce a new concept called an array. Because this is a big program, I won't be reading out every line to you, because there are a lot of words, and I'd need to drink a lot of tea to recover from that, wouldn't I? So I've been chatting to Mr. Illustrator, and we've come up with a whizzy way to fly around the whole program, listing and zoom in on parts. There are 3 logical groups in the program. I'll point each group out as we study the code together. You might need to use the zoom feature in the MakeCode editor to make your program fit onto your screen too. Right, let's get started. This program will work in 2 separate modes, recording mode and playback mode. We'll use our old friend a Boolean variable to keep track of which mode we're in. Do you remember George Boole, who invented Boolean logic? When in recording mode, you move your hand into one of 3 positions, then give a hard shake to record that note. You may remember we developed our own gesture for this in an earlier lesson. You can record any number of notes like this, and when you put your glove into an up position, like a stop sign, it will finish recording mode and change to playback mode. When in playback mode, you shake your glove and it plays back the whole sequence of notes that you recorded previously. Let's look at that section of the program together. It's in the top left part of the program listing. Let's zoom into that now. The on start beeps once to let you know your glove is powered up. Then it sets a notes variable to an empty array. You can find that block under the Advanced Arrays palette. An array is a bit like a string variable. Do you remember the idea of a name bracelet from last lesson? Well, let's think of an array a bit like that. We can change the beads on the name bracelet by untying the string and adding more beads in any position, or even remove all the beads and start again. When the screen is down, this means your palm is facing upwards, and this will put the glove into recording mode. Back to the code again, and we can see that it will beep 4 times. It will empty out the notes array and set the Boolean variable recording to true. The green for block in the code there is another type of loop called a counted loop. It just loops around exactly 4 times, counting 0 to 3 to make 4 beeps. Finally, the on logo up detects your hand as a stop sign. It uses the Boolean variable to check that the glove was in recording mode. If it was, it plays a short jingle, so you know it's finished recording, then sets the Boolean variable recording to false again. You can stop the video now and enter all that code. You might like to flash that part of the program onto your microbit and test that it enters and exits recording mode correctly. Now that the glove can change between recording mode and playback mode, let's zoom over to the top right of the program listing. Now, how do I use this cursor? Right a bit, up a bit. Whoa, stop. That's it. Now, this top right corner of the code is quite similar to your other programs. Let's just look through it together. We have 3 event handlers, one for each of the 3 notes. Left will be note A, up will be note D, and right will be note E. Hey, I remember those notes. Our friend Andy with his secret songbook might be useful again here. Now, play note is a function, and it takes a parameter, which is named note. You may remember that we introduced parameters in the previous lesson. They are like a little letterbox for the function, where other parts of the program can slot some data in to be processed. In this case, the data slotted through the letterbox is the note to be played. You will see later why this parameter is really useful. Now that's an interesting thought. How do small programs turn into bigger programs? Let's just think about that for a bit. We're all getting quite advanced with our microbit coding now, and it would be great to be able to write bigger and more complex programs, wouldn't it? Well, one way we can write a bigger program out of parts is to use functions. We've used functions for a few lessons now. They're super handy. They allow you to collect together lots of lines of code into a group, give the group a name, then just shout out that name whenever you want that code to run. There is a new feature in MakeCode that was added especially for you expert coders, like Lemur, who want to write bigger and more complex programs. The engineers at Microsoft added a little arrow to the right of the function block. If you press on this, it will collapse your function code so it's really small and doesn't take up lots of screen space. Try that now on the play note function. To get it back again, press the down arrow that's on the function block and it will expand to show your code again. Now that's really handy. Another way you could write a big program is to copy and paste code from other programs. You can click on any function or blocks of code to select them. Use Ctrl+C on the keyboard. Move to another program and then use Ctrl+V on the keyboard to paste it in. That's really neat. I don't know about Andy's secret songbook. I think I'll start writing Steph's microbit magic tricks. Right, while I go and write down that super idea, let's get the code back on the screen again for you, so you can get that second group of blocks into your program. Oops, wrong button. This one. Here it is. Here's the code. Stop the video here and let's get that code entered. Okay, let's look at the last part of the program now. Down a bit, stop. Let's just talk through this final bit of code together. The forever loop is just like an earlier lesson, where we used the accelerometer to build a hard shake gesture. We can tune the number 2000 to change the sensitivity, so it's better than the built-in on-shake gesture. The shake here will do 2 different things depending on what mode the glove is currently in. If it's in recording mode, a shake will store the current note, else the glove will play back the whole tune. One of the nice things about using functions is that if you choose meaningful names for them, your program almost sounds like an English sentence. This makes it easier for others to read and understand it. The array is something new we're learning about in this lesson. Just imagine the name bracelet again while we talk through the array here. Function store will be called if you shake your glove while in recording mode. One of the 3 gesture event handlers would have stored a letter inside the note variable. So the line notes add value, note to end, will add the new musical note to the end of the array. Just imagine if you're untying the knot on your name bracelet, threading another note letter on the end and tying the knot closed again. It then calls the play note function, which plays the note once. Function playback will be called whenever you shake the glove in playback mode. It's called from the forever loop. This function uses a for loop to count from 0 up to the length of the array. Thinking back to the name bracelet idea again. It's like you point your index finger at each letter on the name bracelet in turn counting from 0 upwards as you do this. The final line of code for us to understand is the line that says call play note, notes, get value at, index. That sounds like a long sentence, but all it really means is look at the next position in the array, get the note letter stored there and pass it as the parameter to the play note function. This is called indexing into the array because you ask the code to find one value at a specific index. Imagine pointing your index finger at each letter on the name bracelet, shouting out the letter so that play note can play it, then moving on to the next. When you get to the end of the name bracelet or at the end of the array, you stop. Phew, we did it. We worked out how to use an array. Well done. Just a final thought. Let's zoom right out and see the whole program in one go. Whoa! That is great fun. I'm really getting the hang of these controls now. There it is. There is the whole program on one screen. We developed it in 3 parts. Did you notice how we made really good use of the play note function? We call it in 2 different places, and we pass it in a different parameter in both of those places. That's where functions start to become really useful, when you can use them in lots of different places over your program. Flash the code onto your microbit and make sure it works. I just heard the doorbell ring. I think that's Lemur, who's come round for a demo of your fantastic new program. She will be really pleased with this. I bet she can't wait to try it out and show all her friends how she can make and record music just by moving her hand and painting sounds in the sky. You might want to think about other gestures you could add so that the recording glove can record more notes. Here's the gestures palette again. Have a think about what other gestures and notes you could use. Perhaps learn to record some different songs. Andy will need to add some more pages into his secret songbook as well, I think. Let's just finish like we normally do by looking at open source. We've learned recently that the person creating the source code owns the copyright, but that they can give rights to others via a license. That license sets out what others can do with the program. We've also discovered that we can learn a lot about coding by looking through the source code written by others. We spent a bit of time looking through the source code of MakeCode and the Melodies code. But now you are a creator of source code yourself. Wouldn't it be great to be able to make changes and enhancements to the open source code that you use? What exactly can we do with this code we're already using? Well, let's look at the license. Here it is. This is the license for the Melodies code from MakeCode. I'll use my new zoom feature to take a closer look. Down a bit, right a bit, stop, there. See the word modify. So, this license allows us to make changes to the software. We have to make sure that we leave the copyright notice and permission text in the program when we change it. Some folk call that the header. So if you find a piece of open source software that you like, but think of a new feature for it, you could just add that feature yourself. Super cool. If you made some new melodies and wanted to add them into MakeCode, you could go ahead and do that. In a future lesson, we will look closer at how you can offer to share your modified versions with the open source community so that others can benefit from your enhancements. Well, that's it for today. I'm off to learn about some more features in this fantastic program that will allow me to fly around the screen. I want to use it in the next 2 lessons.